Hi guys, today I want to talk about the death of my old mate Guitar Techniques magazine. Now, as many of you will know, my preference for guitar magazines were the American ones, particularly Guitar Player from around 1987 to 1991-92, because those magazines were like an art form. They were like a piece of art. Even the adverts you'll see for sale nowadays, Super Adamas guitars, Ovation guitars, Martin guitars, the early Steve Vai guitars, the early Ibanez ones, Frank and Barley, Fernandez Vandenberg, all of this stuff you'd find in the magazine, and they were just incredible. Also, they had lovely articles in there. And at that time, the American magazines, it was the only way you could learn all of this new guitar playing. I can remember articles by Paul Gilbert, and he's teaching all of this string skipping and all of this sort of thing. You just couldn't learn it anywhere at the time. There wasn't any Hot Licks videos around at that time. They were just about to come on the market. So before that, that was the only way you could get information, was from the American magazines, especially the Al Di Meola style. The English magazines, for me, were a little bit bland. It was always Eric Clapton and Jimmy Page and Jimi Hendrix. Nothing wrong with that, because I used to play that style when I was younger. But I'd sort of moved on, and there really wasn't anything. So the American guitar magazines, for me, were, the main ones. In about 1995, I think it was Neville Martin and Phil Hilborn, who was a well-known guitarist, because I think he'd written for Guitarist magazine and stuff like that at the time. They came up with this idea anyway of actually having guitar lessons in a magazine. And it was quite a revolutionary idea at the time. But the difference is they actually made amazing articles, and they got the best players of the day when they made these magazines. Now, there's two contributors for me that really stand out. One is a guy called Sean Baxter, who in his day was a sort of, I don't know what happened to him, he sort of disappeared, but in his day he was sort of building up to be the Guthrie Govan, I suppose, of his day, because he was he played jazz, but he played it in a metal context or a rock context. Now, that's not such an original idea now, but in his day that was highly unique, highly original. And he was a standout player at that time. The other guy is called Pete Callard, who I would consider to be the best contributor to a guitar magazine ever. He's a jazz guy and sort of goes into jazz and jazz fusion. So here's some of the articles. Here we have Motif Cycling. This is Sean Baxter, and it's taken this Pat Metheny ideas and applying it to rock music. This is highly original stuff, especially in its day. Here we've got one of the best articles ever, probably the best article actually ever written in a guitar magazine, I think, for jazz anyway, and that's Cerebral Jazz, and it's how to play in the style of Bill Evans. And when I say these are good, these articles, I mean they're top notch. It's better than the stuff you find in books that you spend a lot of money on. It's seriously good. Here's another Pete Callard, how to play like Alan Holdsworth. And again, you've got loads and loads of totally amazing stuff. Here's another one. Sean Baxter again, odd time signatures. Basically, it's conical, how to use conical, how to learn conical. Another one by Pete Callard, Alan Holdsworth, loads and loads, and basically just pages and pages of chords. Incredible stuff. Ah, look, John McLaughlin, way hey. I have to say that Pete Callard's John McLaughlin lessons, when I got the magazine, I was shocked at how good he was and how he's just so accurate. I've never heard anybody do the John McLaughlin like Pete Callard. Totally, utterly amazing. Here's another one, John McLaughlin, way hey. This is Sean Baxter, by the way. And again, there's just loads and loads and loads of, notation and tablature. There were also lots of contributors to the magazine. So for instance, here you've got Guthrie Govan playing Sean Lane. Complete transcription, there's like 4 or 5 pages of it. Here's another one, Cracking the Code. I think this is John Wheatcroft. Yeah, John Wheatcroft one. This is another really good one. They're all really brilliant players as well as brilliant teachers and brilliant improvisers. Okay, the question is, where did it all go wrong? Well, my daughter the other day bought me these 2 magazines. She bought me that one, which is a lovely looking magazine, and this one. First thing I noticed is that when you open these magazines up, is the paper. It feels really cheap. You know, it feels really unpleasant. I don't like it at all. You know, and it's the same with this one. When you feel the paper, it's just like really cheap feeling. I understand that because it's the right thing to do, it's right for the environment and everything else, but it doesn't feel value for money. It's difficult to explain. It just doesn't feel like this paper is nice and thick. It feels nice and it's kind of glossy. It's value for money sort of thing. That's the first thing I noticed with these magazines. The second is the price. Although these magazines in the old days had such great articles, it's worth the money, I would say. But what happens is what always generally happens. We end up with this. You know, Eric Clapton, Eric Clapton, Eric Clapton, Eric Clapton, Jimmy Page, Jimi Hendrix, Eric Clapton, Eric Clapton. And to the point where there's, I mean, I don't know, there's nothing else to, it's just repetitive. It's like going around in a hamster wheel. And it all sort of starts to get, you know, watered down to the point where there's no point in buying it. And I understand that, because if I had a magazine, I'd have Eric Clapton on the cover, I'd have Jimmy Page on the cover, or Jimi Hendrix, because I need to sell lots of magazines. I understand that. But for the consumer, it's, you know, it's repetitive and it's bland and you just lose interest basically. Also, of course, you have the internet. And with these magazines, you have the magazine and you need to look at the music or the tablature, and you need to sit down, you know, for 2 or 3 hours learning one of these articles. It might take a week or 2 weeks to get one of these articles or lessons down, and you have to put a lot of work into it. And I think when you have YouTube, people just want a video and learn something in 20 seconds and then get on to the next video. So I don't think perhaps people have the concentration levels to, you know, assimilate the information anymore perhaps. Maybe people just prefer tricks and gimmicks and whatever nowadays, as opposed to real learning, because these magazines do have real learning in them. But anyway, I'm just making this video really as a tribute to this magazine and to a tribute of a time gone by. Because when I was growing up, this was part of my culture. And when I bought this magazine, I lived in it for a month. It wasn't just like I bought it. It was like, you could take two lessons or 3 lessons from here. And at the end of that month, you're going to be really good at playing guitar because you've really absorbed it. You spent every day working on it and go over and over and over and repeat it. And it was a fantastic way of learning stuff for the guitar, because the guitar is very different than, let's say, learning the piano. Piano, you could go to a piano teacher, let's say a jazz teacher, and he's going to teach you things properly. The guitar, a lot of the information that you want just isn't out there. A lot of the stuff that's in here, articles in here, you won't find on the internet. You know, really advanced stuff in here, you won't find on there. And also, the teaching and the playing on here is on a much, much higher level than the internet. So that's what I loved about this. And you know, I've got to accept that it's all over now, and perhaps this isn't what people want anymore. And it is quite sad on the one hand, but on the other hand, I accept it. So this video is just really taking my hat off to this magazine and all the contributors and, you know, all the people that came up with the idea of doing it, because it was an absolutely fantastic idea and it worked really well. I'm surprised actually it lasted as long as it did. So this is just me saying thank you to this wonderful, lovely magazine, Guitar Techniques. Anyway, if this video was of any use, then please smash that subscribe button. That really helps me enormously. Please smash the like button. That helps me massively with this algorithm. Click the notification button if you like this video and write a comment if you want. And I'll see you all in the next video. And thank you for watching.